Hello, and thank you for watching my presentation. The following is an analysis for the case study New York Times Company versus Sullivan. In this presentation, I'm going to analyze several different aspects of this case. The case of New York Times Company versus Sullivan began when L.B. Sullivan sued the New York Times Company for an advertisement that was printed on March of 1960. Sullivan claimed that the printed advertisement titled "Heed Their Rising Voices" was defaming him. In this case, the plaintiff is L.B. Sullivan, and the New York Times Company is considered to be the defendant, as Sullivan filed the complaint against the company. This case primarily includes Sullivan, as he is the one to have taken action. However, it has also included claims from two other elected commissioners from the city of Montgomery to make 3 total. Sullivan felt that his reputation was being damaged or defamed by the publication. The advertisement that was published by the New York Times Company had a total of 10 paragraphs. The claim by Sullivan was based on the 3rd paragraph and a portion of the 6th of this advertisement. Sullivan claimed libel on the basis that although the printed material did not specifically name him, it did refer to him and his role as elected commissioner for the city of Montgomery. The 3rd paragraph stated that, and referred to actions of police. Sullivan stated that for the city of Montgomery, he is the commissioner of public affairs. It is the responsibility of this commissioner to oversee the police department, fire department, department of cemetery, and the Department of Scales. Due to his role over the police department, Sullivan felt that this article referred to him. There was also a second part of his claim, which I just mentioned, that included portions of the 6th paragraph. The sentence in particular that was of concern to Sullivan was one that stated, "They have arrested Dr. King 7 times." Sullivan felt that since the police are usually the ones doing the arresting, there would be a connection made in the use of the word "they." This was of concern because "they" was also used throughout the article to explain other acts. In this particular case, the plaintiff did not need to be specifically named in the publication. Therefore, an identity just being inferred from the published material would show that the statement was of and concerning him, her, or it. In our provided case study, Sullivan, as well as 6 other residents, testified in reference to the content in the material that was published by the New York Times Company. They all stated that they believed the statements read in reference to the role of Sullivan as the Commissioner of Public Affairs. According to our text, once Sullivan proved publication, identification, and defamation, the court presumed that the plaintiff had suffered harm from the statements. The Supreme Court determined that if Sullivan was a public official, that it also must be shown that the New York Times Company was at fault in publishing the defamatory statements. Due to this remaining question, the Supreme Court established 4 categories to determine the level of fault. On the basis of the public official category, the trial court awarded Sullivan $500,000 in damages. And it's also noted that the Alabama Supreme Court upheld this decision on appeal. Lastly, the United States Supreme Court determined that Sullivan's manner of conducting business had been criticized. However, because Sullivan is a public official, he had to prove that the New York Times Company had published with malice. The Supreme Court determined that Sullivan could not prove actual malice in this case. The court stated that under the protections of freedom of speech and press, according to the 1st and 14th Amendments, there was no proof of convincing clarity in the publication. They considered such questions like, did the information come from reliable sources, and were warnings that the information was false ignored. Additionally, it was decided that since this was a government position, Sullivan voluntarily accepted and had to expect complaints and criticisms of the sort, but also through media could ultimately have the opportunity to fix and rebuild his reputation. As a future PR professional, I truly enjoyed this activity. I think that it's important to analyze cases such as this and to keep them in mind. For instance, when publishing material, I believe that it'll be best practice to fully research topics and present any material in as accurate a way as possible. That way, any opinions that are used are backed up by accurate facts according to that particular topic, reflecting stories based on actual occurrence and not just hype, and also keeping accurate accounts of interviews, drafts, or statements. Additionally, as mentioned in our defamation lecture, I think it's important to not always jump towards a conclusion of suing a company or an individual or even taking lawful action. But I do agree that maintaining a strong online presence or rebuilding through media forums is an important part of any individual or company's reputation that we ultimately could be representing. This last slide is just a list of the 3 references that I primarily used. First one being our textbook for the course. The second one was a link to the briefing for the case. And the third one was the actual PDF of the electronic court documentation itself. Thank you very much, and I hope that you enjoyed my presentation.